You're listening to Growth Leaders by Sharp, the podcast where people strategy meet business impact, and we bring you the boldest minds shaping the future of work. And today's guest, he's a game changer. He's leading in the charge in transforming how thousands of employees learn, grow, and thrive. He's a visionary when it comes to culture, digital, human resources, and building high-impact learning ecosystems at scale. Please welcome the powerhouse chief people officer of SD Worx, Bruce Fecheyr-Lippens. We're absolutely excited to have you here. Let's dive in.
Pleasure, Peter.
So I'm going to jump straight into listening a little bit about your journey in becoming the chief people officer, because you're at a company called SD Worx today, and it's becoming pretty big today. It's about 10,000 employees. It's about 1.2 billion of euros and a massive amount of customers, getting close to the 100,000. So what's your journey getting into that? It's impressive.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I joined 3 years ago. I had my startup in HR tech, a talent management tool. And SD Worx actually bought it because his mission is to do and to be a total HR player. And that's why they bought a talent solution. Which I started up with 2 others. And interestingly, we were 5,000 people, I think, by then. And the day after the company bought it, I had a good click with our CEO, Kobe Verdonk, and he asked me, Bruce, do you want to be the chief people officer of SD Worx? And after a few weeks of thinking, I said, yes, let's go for it. And it has been a really interesting journey on many, many different facets and aspects.
So what has kept you awake during the night, these first 3 years? I mean, it's a double growth in 3 years, and it's a lot of things happening.
Yeah, it's a lot of things, of course. First of all, I'm luckily a good sleeper. But what's really priority for us is that we are growing in double-digit ways. So you need to find the brightest talents that are out there while respecting our culture. And our culture is one, we call that the ABC, atmosphere, benefits and cash, but atmosphere is most important. Like we pay people average. So atmosphere, culture is important. So you have to find the brightest people with a good culture fit to be able to grow. And at the same time, we are also a private equity based. We need to generate cash in order to do mergers and acquisitions. So the cost base also needs to be under control. And it's that balance between growing and spending the money where you need to spending, but also being diligent and not spending too much money and doing that in the best possible way. That's a very interesting balance that probably that's what I think about most.
Yeah. And what I understand when I look into, and you and I spoke also last time when we had the intro, you've introduced something you call critical friend culture. What is it, and do you see this is helping out in looking for the talent or growing existing people?
You know what? When I joined, SD Worx was a company where we had a bunch of good friends. Always, like, the DNA is that people go for results. They're results oriented, but they call that camaraderie. So good friendship is important. Together with the CEO, what we really wanted to add is a real impact culture and a bit more of a performance culture. And in order to do that, you need to be critical friends to each other. And a critical friend is not just feedback. It's more than that. You need to be critical and friend at the same time. It means that being friends, I understand your point of view, Peter. I understand where you're coming from. I can relate to it, but at the same time, I'm also critical. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I'm going to be very clear in what is needed to happen. And by doing so, being critical and friend, actually you see people grow at the best possible way. Versus in the past, sometimes too much friendship means being too permissive, means also you're not growing enough. Or too much critical means being too harsh and having a bit of fear, and then your best people leave. So you really need to be both at the same time. And I would say is one of the critical elements that is making us grow in a sustainable, high-performing way.
It's interesting because that in companies and also, becoming a manager, becoming a leader, one of the hardest things for people is actually the conflict handling, the conflict management. And this is really what you are saying, it's we can see there is a conflict, but actually having the support from the management and from your colleagues that, this is part of my work, and it's explicit doing that, because I see it in so many ways and everywhere, and it's actually the very first time where I hear it's spelled out.
Yeah, we decided to make it as explicit as possible, because otherwise it's impossible to change. But it's hard, huh? And that's one thing. It's still a personal journey as well. Why haven't all? If you look at it, if you look at the end of the day, have I been a critical friend all the time in every situation? You always find a way that no, there I was too much permissive, too much friend, or I was too harsh. And the reason for it is that you have to dive into yourself, into your core. For me, I understood that sometimes I can be focused on the short term and not, pleasing too much. And it's a bit of an anxiety to then say the truth, but you don't help a person in the medium term or in the long term. And I finding that blockage for myself, and then really seeing the impact it can have on people and people appreciating you to be critical friends, that's where you can actually try to do it as much as possible. And for every person, it can be a different blockage. And I think we as a company are trying to help our colleagues to find that blockage, take it, and then go for it. And then you have a culture of critical friends, and then you have teams that are able to be critical friends for each other in a much more positive way. Easier said than done, of course. It's not that we are fully there yet, but it takes a lot of time and energy to go for it.
It takes time, energy, and guts, I would say, because when you listen to it, that there are so many people in the world who they are brought up, not to go into conflicts, and they become leaders, and sometimes they're leaders all their life without taking a conflict. And here, so that support system you're talking about, actually, because when they're having a harsh call of any kind, it could be just, okay, great work, but we actually need to do these changes on top of that. So is there any support there? I mean, are the managers especially trying to handle that, or is it just something, try to have an open culture about it?
Yeah, it's different things. One, of course, it's an open culture. Second thing is we have a training. It's called the Positive SD Worx Leadership, where everybody is trained on being a critical friend as much as possible. That's two, and then three, we have it in our performance system. We call that an impact culture. And at the end of the year, we obviously we do now the monthly check-ins and critical friend feedback. It's not just one moment in time, but we have been very consequent about it. We have let go of the top 200, probably 10 or 20 colleagues that were high performing, but that were not behaving as critical friends. And then you have to be very consequent about it. Not directly. You first be critical friend, you give feedback, and if you see after 2 or 3 times there is no willingness to adapt and to change, then you have to be consequent. And we have made those tough decisions as well on leadership and on management at all levels.
It's interesting. We launched not too long ago a full training on leading with kindness. And that is what many people think you're the kind person, but this is also about having very clear boundaries. I mean, you're being kind to people, but you're also clear in what you do and what you wish, and how you operate with people. So
it's very similar. I'm sure it's very similar.
And there's a lot of similarities in that, because in the reality, it's all about kindness. If you can express it in a good way. Okay, super interesting. So if we look at the talent, and I mean, if you have 10,000 employees, then you have about 1,000 leaders, and there's a turnover of X%, and so on. So how do you nurture that internal talent to grow? Because it's not only getting that churn, but you actually have the growth factor in there. What are the...
Well, a couple of things. One, we have a culture of my move, we call it. Call it my move. So it means as an employee, you are in the driving seat. If you say, I'm ready for next job, I'm ready for or changing divisions, take ownership, have your chats, have your talks, do your trainings, and then we are there to help you make it happen. But it's called My Move. We also have an internal IT tool that facilitates the matching between what jobs are like LinkedIn, but then internally, what jobs are out there, what skills do I have? Is there a match, yes or no? Or what skills do I still need? So that's one of the most important aspects that you can grow, that you have a career path, and obviously it just stimulates that you grow it. And then there are other ways, of course, as well. We have, for example, we launched a program. We call that the Spark Joiners, and it's every year. Everybody can apply. Yeah, and we have typically 200 applications. We select 30 people from the 200 applications, and they are on a 1-year journey. And on that 1-year journey, they receive trainings, they work on projects, and they can join our yearly strategy days with the top managers, where we talk about strategy, where we define strategy, and they're part of that. Yeah. Age doesn't matter at all, but you feel it's a bomb of energy. And those Spark Joiners, every year, we then have a metric, and we see after that Spark Joiner program, are they in new jobs? Are they promoted? Are they having impact or not? And the energy it creates, that's amazing. And so you need to have those types of projects and programs to get people going, of course. Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's good. I meet a lot of people around the world, not only through podcasts, but through my work also in providing training solutions. And there's always, or many times, I get into, especially in the US, India, and other places, where the gender is still quite troublesome, because quite many years ago, I think we were coming up pretty even, at least in Sweden, when it came to gender equality in the technology companies. However, in the manufacturing companies, still it's 20-30% women in comparison. But you have turned this pyramid upside down completely. When I look at the figures, you're nearly 60-40, not both from an employee perspective, but also from a leader perspective.
We are, from an employee perspective, we're even 70-30. We have 70% female, 30% man. I think it's a bit in the nature of our job. We are an HR company. One of the reasons is that flexibility is very important to us. It's part of our DNA. So we offer a lot of flexibility. Let's be honest, actually, women are amazing. They take sometimes more than men responsibility. Yeah. So that fits really, really well together. I think it does help. It helps the responsibility. At the same time, in our top management, we're more equal. So I think there we still have probably a way to go. It does not help in Belgium that you only receive 3 months as a female when you have kids, and the man receives 2 weeks. So that doesn't help at all. And I'm a much more bigger fan of what happens in Sweden, that everybody can do his or her part of the share, of course. So we are not there yet, but we try to do our best as a company, of course, as SD Worx.
I think there's a lot to learn about that. And that, I guess, also emphasizes very much that right person on the right position. Yes. Rather than now we have this ongoing discussions with the diversity and so on. So I think you're in a good move. But I would like to move on. I know you're interested, and I'm highly interested. You have a project within SD Worx. It's called the Pro Time.
You mean Pro Time?
Yes. Well, now we're into cycling.
Yes.
So have you been involved in looking at the women's? Because you are a big sponsor of women bicycling, as I understand.
Correct. It's called officially Team SD Worx Pro Time. We are sponsoring it in the last 4 or 5 years, and we will still sponsor it at least till 2028. The reason why we selected it is to be a pioneer. Men's cycling is so much on the television, and it's something that people still remember. But it's a sport that also a lot of females do. So we said, why don't we sponsor female cycling, and let's make that grow. And in the last years, it has grown tremendously. Also salaries, trying to make it more even, the number of competition that you see on the television. And the beauty of cycling, it's a team sport. Together you win. and that's also cycling, even though sometimes you have to go individually and there is only one person actually winning the race, but you need your team. And it's a lot what we do in our work as well. And it has been a fabulous experience where also female riders of our team are coming to our company, are talking with our customers and our employees. We go cycling with them twice a year together. There's an exchange. And in my job, I have the luck to know them, talk with them, and I even write columns about it in the newspaper. What can we learn from the team sport of cycling into business? And how can you build high-performing business teams learning from cyclists? And that is really, really interesting, where we can talk a lot longer about.
Yeah, no, but I think it's interesting. I mean, seen quite a lot of also big sponsoring in sailing before, but the cycling, and as you say, the women's sport, it's moving so fast because they are extremely good nowadays.
Oh, yes.
I've been doing a fair amount of cycling and racing too, and that's nowadays it's just to see if you can get a back wheel somewhere.
It brings people together. I organize a yearly CEO and C-suite ride. Last year we were 17 people. This year, second edition, we're 45. It's tomorrow, so we will go cycling, and with a lot of CEOs, top managers from nice Belgian company, and we will have a good chat. Rallies around people from different backgrounds together on a bicycle. And it's good. You have fresh air in your mind. You have different types of conversations, and you're outdoor. It's healthy.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if that's the same for you, but at least I see that many times when you go out cycling. That's also a time when you can get your mind, both relaxing, but you actually I need to get on top of that. Or
yes,
you get the idea.
I couldn't. For me personally, I go with the bike to work, and I come back with the bike from work on my race bike. And it is the moment where I prepare the day. My team is saying, Bruce, come with the bike because you're much more patient. And when I come home, I have the time to clear my mind, to structure things, and be really home and be fully present at home with the 3 kids and my wife, and have a nice evening too. It works so well. I don't have to tell you. You know what it is, Peter.
Absolutely, but for the listeners, I've always emphasized that, and it does not matter if that's cycling or trekking or anything. But the sport in itself and the well-being is so important for your own health and, of course, well-being, and then also your.
And let's not forget, and it rallies people. Like, for example, at SD Worx, we do a lot of team events around it. So it brings people together as well. It's you create bonding, you create relationship. Even my children, they look at and they pretty much know what I'm doing for work, or they recognize it. So it has so many positive aspects.
Yes. So let's move a little bit forward. How many countries are you in today?
We are now in 27 European countries. We are pretty much the number 1 HR player in Europe. Yes. Like you have ADP in the US, we are the SD Worx in Europe. We have 800 colleagues in Mauritius with its developers, service people, wonderful folks, but we do business in full Europe. And the reason for it is you always have to listen to what the customer needs. And I think about 20 years ago, we saw the growth of more multinational companies. And, a multinational company sitting in 10, 12 countries, you don't want to ask 12 different payroll providers to do my payroll in each of the countries. You want to say, give me one company, you make it happen, and you solve it. And that is what we do. So we grow with our international customers. I would say that's a positive thing that we can offer.
So many times when we talk about the cultural differences, but we don't have to go to Asia because we know there's a difference, even US and so on. But just looking into Europe, we can go to each and every country. From both you and me, we could pinpoint cultural difference. So we can take it from your experience, but it could also be, looking at customers. So how should they embed the cultural, call it intelligence, into the company DNA?
Yeah,
Because I think it's so important
it's
here.
super important. Yeah, and we always underestimate. Europe is so different. Huh? My grandmother is a Dutch. I worked 2 years in the Netherlands. We have a lot of people in the Netherlands, France, the Netherlands, Belgium. We're just like literally 100 kilometers away, and we're already so different. Take Sweden and the Nordics, already so different as well. Germany as well, Spain too. So we're so different, and that's why you need a company culture and DNA, that's what we do, and it's a way it's on top of a national culture. And I go back to critical friend. Being critical friend, no matter your culture, you have to be critical friend in SD Worx, even if it's for some easier to be clear on feedback, maybe for the Dutch, but they're maybe more critical. But you have to elevate yourself from the national culture as well, and at the same time you have to respect each other, create a connection, and also understand each other's culture by giving also time for it. And that's where human connection and relationship comes in, and that's something to preserve. And if you ask me, what does you keep you awake at night, is also to make sure we can preserve that and we have that time, even in the world of AI where everything needs to go faster and faster. We should also not make a compromise on that.
Because when you look at the cultural differences, and if you don't have the DNA built in the company, I mean, many companies like acquiring, geographies, if you put it like that, companies. And then those leaders really have to know inside out. Okay, that if you take a Nordic decision making, there is nothing, Finns do it their way, Swedes, we do it totally different way, Danes have their way, and Norwegian is another way. And I know when you get into Holland, Belgium, there's another way. So I think that DNA, getting that into, I mean, preserving, as you say, but also having, this is the way we actually make decisions in our company, how we move things forward, because otherwise it will be.
I always say, Peter, make the implicit explicit. Make the implicit explicit. So things that are implicit, just make it explicit. Make it explicit how we make decisions, but also make it explicit. These are the decisions that, locally in Sweden or locally in Finland, you do your decision and we respect it, and we shouldn't micromanage. That will not work too. Yeah. So you have to make the implicit explicit.
So I would love to go into AI training and all those things, but I'm not going to do that right now. So what do you see as the number one skills for every employee the coming years ahead?
That's a very good question. For me, what will never, having a growth mindset. I'm not telling something new, but the skill to be open-minded and to see everything in a positive way. For me, it's let's try to have energy and see things positive. You can be in a victim mode and saying the world is fast or this has been decided. Twist it around in a positive way. And I think that's the number one skill to have, in combination, of course, to be honest with yourself and take care of yourself. We spoke about, being healthy, eating healthy, sleeping healthy, doing things in a healthy way. Know your boundaries, know when to disconnect, when to use your phone or not. Those two things together, health and the positive things, not easy, but that's what I want to give them.
That's right. One leadership lesson you learned the hard way.
That's when I was in a company 5 years ago, and they said go and make change, but they didn't really want it, and that wasn't made explicit. So you go against boundaries, and when you really don't fit with a culture, or when you feel the culture is toxic, take your conclusions and look somewhere else. Don't stick it.
But I think many can relate to that. Good answer. A bold L&D, learning and development experiment you once tried. Good or bad?
For me, it's the Spark joiners that we launched at SD Worx, and I had to really push it. We need money for it. They said yes. I took the risk for it, and it's one of the most amazing programs with so much talent flourishing.
Congrats. A must-read book or podcast you'll recommend to every L&D HR person?
Yeah, Adam Grant, Think Again. That's one of the best books. And then a second one I need to do is The Courage to Be Disliked, written by two Japanese, and that's how you twist everything in your life, no matter how much trauma you have, in a positive way. The courage to be disliked.
Okay, that's good. If you had a magic wand to fix one thing in workplace learning, what would that be?
That people take more responsibility and ownership in learning. Instead of being laid back, that's the company's offering that, I need to do now that, and it feels compulsory. Just take it in your hand and see it as something magic that the company is investing in you.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Bruce. It's such a pleasure. I think we could have continued a fair amount of time, but thank you so much.
Well, thank you too, Peter. It was wonderful to talk to you.
You too. Thanks.